It's showtime.
I know that, and as you know, when the president does speak in front of, when he does do some of these fundraising events, right, there is, when he gives remarks, formal remarks, the press pool is in there, and they are listening to the remarks and get to hear directly what the president says. So I think that's also very important. I don't want to make it sound like there is not a process there.
Definitely not.
When he is in front of donors giving formal remarks, that you all are not in the room as he's speaking. I can't speak to this particular scenario. I think that is something certainly, he does have private meetings, that is true. And when he has those private meetings, so that there's candor and honesty, and so that he can hear directly from folks, those tend to be private. But I want to be really careful here in speaking into every scenario that happens, because I can't speak to that particular scenario.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions.
Should the President of the United States be engaging privately with a random set of financial donors about issues that are of clear public import, like his opinion of the Israeli
No,
prime
I hear your question, but the president has private meetings all the time.
I want to have them answered immediately.
He does. He has private meetings all the time.
And these aren't foreign leaders, right? These are people who are giving money to his campaign.
I hear you, but he has private meetings with everyday people. Some of these donors have, and I want to be super mindful here, have concerns, right, as well, just like everyday American people that he has private meetings with or he sees on the road. It's not every meeting it's going to be public, but when he gives remarks at fundraisers, there is formal remarks. There is the press pool tends to be in the room or is in the room.
I don't believe you.
Private meetings are different, and so that's the way it's been for the past 3 years under this administration. Look, I want to be really careful. These are campaign, obviously, some of them campaign DNC related meetings. So I just want to be super mindful here.
Well, duh.
And what's the distinction between formal and informal remarks?
Look, I'm going to refer you on anything that's related to these specific meetings. I would refer you to the campaign, because they're the ones that put it together. They're the ones that bring the folks in the room. I just want to be super mindful and not go down too far a rabbit hole here.
Well, it all comes from eating too much.
Okay, MJ.
Hey, Corinne, any updates on when the president's physical might be taking place?
So he will have a physical when we have information on that. So obviously, we will certainly share that with all of you. It will be transparent. There will be a comprehensive report, as we have done the last 2 years. Just don't have a timeline for you.
You are made of stupid.
Plan on the press getting a heads up before the physical happens, or will we find out once it has taken place?
We're going to do it the way that we've done it the last 2 years. It's not going to be anything different. So the way that we've approached this the last 2 years will be the same way that we do this this third year.
Does the White House think that the idea of the president taking a cognition test, a cognitive test, as a part of this physical is a legitimate idea, particularly just on the heels of the special counsel report, more polling, as my colleague Selena just mentioned, showing that many American people have concerns about that?
Yes, definitely.
Look, I got this question last week as well, and I'm just going to say what Dr. O'Connor, it's kind of what he said to me about a year ago when the report came out last year, obviously on his physical, which is the president proves every day how he operates, how he thinks, right? By dealing with world leaders, by making really difficult decisions on behalf of the American people, whether it's domestic, whether it's national security. And so he shows it every day on how he thinks, how he operates. And so that is how Dr. O'Connor sees it, and that's how I'm going to leave it.
I don't think so.
What do you think about the idea of taking that kind of a test?
I mean, look, and I talked about this last week too on I believe, on Friday. I have known this president since 2009. He is not just my boss, he's also a mentor to me.
Oh, really?
And I spent sometimes countless hours with him, whether it's in the Oval Office, whether it's on the road. And I believe, for me, you're asking me my personal opinion, he is sharp. He is on top of things. When we have meetings with him, with his staff, he's constantly pushing us, trying to get more information. And so that has been my experience with this president. anything else outside of that, I just shared with you what Dr. O'Connor said to me, and so I'll just leave it there.
Now you say another word and I swear to God I will dice you into a million little pieces.
Thanks, Green. No, you're not going to comment on the campaign or its decisions, but does the White House believe that TikTok is giving Americans, especially younger Americans, false perceptions about President Biden and his broader agenda?
Look, I'm going to be really careful about speaking to TikTok specifically because there is a CFIUS review. They're in an independent body, and they are going to move forward with whatever they decide to do, so don't want to step into that. Obviously, more broadly, as it relates to social media platforms, we've always said there is misinformation, disinformation out there that we have to try and combat, and so we've always been very clear. We've always been concerned about our young people and the information that the misinformation, disinformation that they're getting, and how that's affecting their lives. That is a concern that we have, and we've talked about that very explicitly, very clearly. As it relates to TikTok, going to be really careful because of that CFIUS review, and so just want to be super, super mindful.
Meh.
Obviously just not going to comment on specific cases.
Separately, the Senate is on track to pass the National Security Supplemental this week. Still not clear if Speaker Johnson's going to bring that up for a vote in the House. Does the president plan to have any outreach with House Republican leadership to try to get that across the finish line?
So look, you know how important the president thinks it is to get that very all-important funding, security assistance to Ukraine, obviously Israel, Indo-Pacific. We've been very clear about that. Obviously, we had this really careful strategic conversations as well with Senate Republicans and Democrats for the past couple of months for the border security because we believe that entire package was important.
Definitely not.
But obviously, Republicans specifically in the House got in the way and would not move that forward. And it's unfortunate because that is the way we believe we would have been able to deal with policy issues and funding issues as it relates to the border, the challenges at the border, and also immigration.
It's pretty much a lose-lose situation.
So look, we are in constant communication. The team here, the Office of Legislative Affairs, and other White House officials are in constant communication, obviously with the leadership on both sides of chamber. In each chamber to try and figure out how we're going to move forward, how we're going to make sure that this all-important funding gets out there. And so conversations are going to continue. We are obviously, what we wanted to see is the border security component, negotiation piece of that to be included, but we are where we are, and we believe it's important. It's important to move forward.
What are you saying?
Get directly involved in those conversations?
I don't have any conversations to read out. Obviously, he tends to have private conversations. We don't read out every conversation. He has relationships with folks in Congress, but his Office of Legislative Affairs and other White House officials are in regular touch with congressional leadership, and they also keep the president updated as well.
You know what? I'm tired of your presence. Dismissed.
That's all, folks.